Welcome to the Melanated World Network. Produced by DM3 Entertainment. Letting you know that melanin is sexy. And learn to love melanin masculinity. And letting the ladies know that virtuous femininity is your superpower. And encouraging men to be on their purpose. And the ultimate goal is a melanated nuclear family by any means necessary. So sit back and enjoy yourself, and you might learn something. What's up, world? I'm back with another one, and we're about to get into this video here, and it's about Dr. Umar, and I know you guys probably come across it because several other people have been doing reactions and speaking on the fact of what Dr. Umar had to say about the responsibility of the melanated man in America having to do with the poor choices that the melanated woman has made in the last 50 years. So without further ado, I'm going to let y'all hear what he had to say, and then I'm going to give my assessment and make y'all understand what really is going on and give you the back story and the history of why we as melanated Americans have the issues that we have with the melanated woman and this whole baby mama drama and women's situation going on in the melanated community. So without further ado, let's get the video started. Hit the clip. Let's go.
Black men,
yes,
black
it is.
women. So
and what I also tell black women, if
married,
you're going to go get you an African man from the continent,
right,
you're going to have to understand that the way in which you talk to black men in America will not be tolerated over there.
Why the fuck is it tolerated? It's not tolerated here. That's what we're trying to tell them.
Well, over here, I want to say this to us, though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now. And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be a man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back. I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that. And then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course she's going to end up with a poor mate. And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need. We are not. They out there killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males, what we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking, what we doing about it? Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying is she got a right to be angry with us. She got a right to be angry with us. We have not been on our job as black men. If the men are the providers, what have we been providing for our community? I'm not speaking you individually.
Yes.
Because you may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. But guess what? What are we doing for the community? What are we doing for the children who don't have a father? You don't think the black woman got a right to be angry when she's been raising 2/3 of the kids by herself for 50 years? And the minute she raises her voice, we say she's not humble enough? She had to become masculine to survive the rape, the molestation, the domestic abuse. Are you telling me you can't see how we created that?
I understand that, but she needs.
If we was loving our women and taking care of our women, do you think she would be like that? That personality has a history.
If she's picking Pookie and Ray Ray instead of
you're making her a scapegoat.
No, she's picking a scapegoat.
No.
There's good quality men that they ignore.
Why she even got it? Why is there even a Pookie?
So as you have seen and heard in the video, Dr. Omar ends with, why is there even a Pookie and Ray Ray? So in this next clip that you're about to see, it's going to show you the example of why there was a Pookie and a Ray Ray and why we're going through these madnesses that we're going through in the melanated community at this time. In the video, you have Mr. Baldwin speaking to a female activist, saying basically to him that things were ran properly for years before the 70s, where there was a man in the household leading his family with his wife and his children. And the sister said, we need to change and try it a different way. And in this video, it's going to show you what happened when they tried to do it a different way. And as you know, we are still dealing with that change. Let's check the video out. Here we go.
I think that the only thing that's changed is the black woman. Because there was a time, let's say my mother, you know what I mean, my aunts and things like that, they would say, okay, if that's the way you establish your manhood, I'm going to go for it. And my generation says, hey, no good. Okay. You must establish a new base. I'll agree with that. And we are, as a group, demanding that a new base be established. Why can't we try it my way? Lay down.
25 years ago, the strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most Black children are now growing up without their fathers. Single women and the children they're rearing alone are the fastest growing part of the Black population. Why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. Male figures are not substantially important in the family.
So, while you watched, you noticed that Dr. Omar was incorrect. It had nothing to do with mass incarceration. It had to do with the choices of young women in the 80s choosing to be single mothers over being married to a man and raising a nuclear family. This was the problem, not the man. But as we go on, you're going to see more in these clips that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to show you this one where this young lady is going to explain to you what happened when there was no man leading the house. Let's check it out.
78% of Black husbands were in their homes, married to the mother of their children, when they started the social engineering of the welfare state. Fast forward 50 years, 78% of Black children are being raised in single-headed households. This is destruction personified.
Exactly what she said. Destruction. And destruction of what? The Black community, the Black family, and the Black person's mental state. And yes, welfare was given to women, and they chose to take that over a nuclear family, allowing her man to be her provider, protector, and maintainer. And with this next young lady, she's going to explain to you what happened taking such a choice over having a man in the household. The choices of women, this is what happened. Let the clip go.
Like, we didn't create welfare, we were handed it. But welfare gave us all that we needed to say.
Forget that, brother.
And then we wonder why we have to return our children to their fathers, which is the prison system. Because the government is your baby daddy. Now give us our son. We fed him through food stamps. We housed him through HUD and Section 8. We the baby daddy. Give us our child. And they get to the point where they come collect, and now we look, and it's a pandemic, and it's an epidemic of melanated men in the prison system, going back to their daddy, Uncle Sam, who raised them via food stamps and welfare and Section 8. And if we don't do something about it, we'll just continue to perpetuate the cycle.
Yes. Keeping that cycle going and going and going. That's how they got the sisters in the 80s, the 70s, and the 80s. And that was going real good for a long time. It had the family structure all jacked up. But then they came with this new thing. They said, hey, the 90s came in. We started seeing shows like The Cosby Show and A Different World, and it made young ladies realize, hey, let me go to college. Let me get some degrees. Let me get smart. Let me maintain myself. Let me become independent. So that was a new way to separate and keep the family separated. And The Godfather, as we all know, Kevin Samuels, will explain to you why that became the new way to keep the family separated. Kevin, tell them exactly what happened.
Because in the 80s and 90s, so many women got the wrong message. Career, job, and then they thought that they could go do that, and then when they hit danger zone 27 to 35, that they could just turn around and pull a man off the tree. Now, women continue to say that there's a man shortage, but what they're not saying is it's the men they want. Women are not focusing on average guys. And let's be real, you're not focusing on the average guy. You could care less about the guy who works third shift at the plant or the blue collar laborer. That is not who your first pick is. You want the white collar, 6 foot tall, attractive jawline dude is a sexual professional. No heat, no judgment. You are free to want what you want, but understand something, especially Generation X and late millennials. Ladies, if you are over 35, you've already had your glory days.
Yes, you heard Kevin, right? He said if you're at 35, you have already reached your peak. And now, when you pass 35 and you finally have got a husband, you end up like what this young lady says next. You feel as though you have a degree. You feel as though you make 6 figures. You feel as though you are now above your man, so that you'll have an attitude like what this young lady is about to tell you now. Hit the clip.
Baffles me the amount of women that are like, I would never let my husband tell me what to do. I'm not his child. And these same women, they'll go to work. Their boss says, hey, I need you to turn this in by 5 p.m. They say, yes, sir. The HR manager says, hey, I need you to stop saying this to your employees. They say, okay. The trash man says, I need you to put your trash can on the side of the road on Wednesday mornings. They say, okay, and they do it. The speed limit sign says, don't go past 65. Guess what? They don't go past 65. The nurse says, hey, you have this condition. I need you to take this medicine. They say, okay. Their single friend will say, girl, you don't need to do this for your husband. You need to tell him this, this, and this. And they say, I can trust you. You're the expert. Literally, everybody else in the world will tell them, jump. And they say, how high? And they do it. But when your husband, who has a covenant with God to protect and provide for you, tells you, hey, I don't think you should do this. Yes, you should do this. No, you should not do this. It's a problem and you're oppressed.
So hopefully you understand so far from what you've seen in this video that it's not what Dr. Omar was saying. Had nothing to do with the fact that it was mass incarceration, which, yes, that did happen. But it was a systematic setup where they first told the young lady, tell him you don't need a man because we got you. You know, Uncle Sam is your daddy. We're going to give you welfare. We're going to give you all type of assistance as long as you leave the melanated man alone and you do it alone. So that was the first trap. Then the second trap was, okay, now that you're off welfare, we're going to send you to school. You're going to get all these degrees and you're going to get to the point where you feel as though you're independent and you don't need nothing from nobody. So you're going to say, hey, I don't want a man to control me. I don't want to be led by a man. I don't want to feel like a slave, losing all of your godly ways, because if you're Muslim, Christian, or Jewish, you know that there's a setup and a way that you do things in a nuclear family. And what happens is that this thing keeps trickling down and down and down to every generation, where you have young ladies now talking and seeing examples of women before them having problems. And with this next young lady, she's going to explain to you how she spoke to an older woman telling her, hey, the behavior and the way that you act, if you have a real man, he's not going to tolerate that. And you have to learn how to adjust your behavior in order for your marriage to work. So let's check out her clip, and I'll be right back.
An older lady tell me, she's, I think, just past 40, and her husband, I think, is like in his late 30s, like maybe like 41 and 39. They've been married for a while. I was talking with her about some problems we were having in our marriage, and she said, Joyce, what it sounds like to me is that your issue is that you are married to a real man, and a real man is not going to be ruled by a woman. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, and it immediately came to my mind when I was reading this excerpt. When she says, don't go down the path of expressing criticism, disapproval, and an ultimate lack of acceptance for your husband because it may cause rebellion, she's telling the truth. A real man is not going to allow himself to be a pushover to the woman he has chosen.
So, young ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you understood the advice that was given to this young lady, that if you are with the right man and he loves you, he's not going to be a pushover. He's going to be that leader that you need in your life so you have structure. And for those young men, don't get bamboozled by the slick talking of Dr. Umar. It is very necessary for you to be an individual to build your family. And when you build your family, you will connect with other families and build a community properly. So before I get out of here, I'm going to let you hear one more advice from the Godfather, Kevin Samuels. Kevin, give him this advice for all these young men who think they have to chase after a woman. You don't chase after her. You get yourself together and you have some standards. And I'll say less, and Kevin, take us out.
You better learn how to walk away and cut a chick off, because if you don't, you're going to be the fool. You're going to be the one that's left a dried up husk, because when she's done what you believe, she'll walk away. But here's the thing. Guys, when you learn to walk away from a woman, you're in a position of power.
With that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.